Are you struggling with patterns of generational trauma that you feel like you just are having a very hard time getting out of? My name is Hyim. I'm a licensed therapist out of California, and I'm going to share a story with you. Okay? I was about 16 years old, and my grandma had just died. I drove to talk to my youngest uncle about what my eldest uncle had told me about my personal inheritance and what that would look like. And my younger uncle was a very big man, about 6'4", and big dude. And he got very angry at me when I was in his kitchen and telling him that I felt like he should be standing up to his older brother and standing up for me. I was probably about 5'10" at the time at 16, and probably about 135, 140 pounds, very skinny. And he got enraged. He was so angry at me, and he started yelling at me. And he started yelling at me and spitting at me and talking down to me like this and pointing his finger down at me. Now, keep in mind, my father had been dead for about 6 years. Okay, that's why the inheritance was about me. And basically, my older uncle was probably fucking me over. And I was asking my younger uncle to stand up to me. And here he is screaming at me because I'm asking him to stand up for me, to do what's right. So he is screaming at me, yelling at me, and I have this flashback while I'm looking up at him, backing up, terrified. And I have this flashback of my father yelling just like that. One time yelling at me, probably more than one time, if I remember correctly, as well as another time specifically, though, that I remember him screaming at someone else at a baseball game, screaming down at him, because my dad was also very tall. He's about 6'3", and pointing and looking like this, yelling, yelling, yelling. So I'm backing up, and I'm looking at my uncle, and I keep saying to my uncle as I'm backing up, and it just comes over me, just this feeling of awareness. And I say, where have you seen this before? Where have you seen this before? And I start saying it quietly. That's a good tip. If someone's ever angry at you, don't start yelling. Speak quietly. If someone's screaming at you, don't start screaming too. Start whispering if you want to de-escalate. So he's yelling at me, yelling. He's turning purple in his face. He's just going off on me. I'm backing up. Where have you seen this before? Where have you seen this before? Repeating, repeating, repeating. Finally, I say it one time again. Where have you seen this before? He says, what the fuck did you say? What the fuck did you say? And I said it again. Where have you seen this before? Where have you seen this before? And he looks at me, and his whole face changed. And he dropped his hands on his shoulders. And he walked in the other room. And he sat down. And I eventually followed him in there, and we had a whole conversation about generational rage. And where do you think he learned that this is what anger looks like? This is what power and control and anger looks like. Where do you think he learned that? Where do you think my father learned that? My grandpa. And I would bet that my grandpa learned it from his father. That was one of the most transformative moments of my life. And now that I'm a son of a little boy, I have made damn sure that I will never, as best I can, do that to my son. And this is why my son, when he sees me get mad, will say to me, Daddy, are you breathing again? Because the truth is, yes, I am. I'm trying to trigger my vagus nerve to calm my nervous system, because there's no tiger in the room. It's just my son and I. And I don't want to do to him what my father did to me, or what my uncle was doing to me.